How do we feel? It seems feelings are taking a centre stage these days, and maybe they always did, but under the guise of something else. Let's be honest, eugenicists are run by their feelings, pretending it's for the greater good of all, but really it's because they feel they are better, or that someone else is not good enough for their standard, which is based on how they feel towards something. But it's painted as a disconnected thought that is absolute in its reasoning, but is influenced and encouraged by how they feel. Nowadays, people are just admitting it for what it is, no longer pretending that they need a reason that sounds logical, because the fact it's their feelings is what makes it logical to them. And that is where we get some strange results in society, because everyone is working in their own version of reality, with their own feelings, thoughts and ideals. Alongside that, people are also taking part in a shared reality, covered slightly in my article Separate Realities, observing there is a parallel existence occurring within each of us. So once you give the green light for people to act solely on their feelings, and that it is okay to do that, do people then ever take the time to understand those feelings before acting? Or because they don't need to, it's just a constant stream of reacting? Why is it so many can't cope with or control their feelings and have the need to either act upon them or allow them to dictate theirs and by extension others' lives? Avoidance or conditioning appears to be required to get through society these days for an awful lot of people. Drugs and therapy being the go-to for many, to talk about those feelings and have someone else with feelings talk back to you about them. Then possibly give you something that will disrupt those feelings, numb them, or alter them in a way that means you think you are helping them. But, and it's a big but, my article, More Than Pain Gets Killed, looks at the very real consequence of that avenue. That lots of these things that are made available for people to help them cope also switch off and hamper normal function, feelings, thoughts and experiences. If you ever wondered why some people seem so haphazard, destructive and confused, then perhaps it is because it is really difficult to know which way is up, when you are mentally being turned upside down all the time or switched off altogether. But I guess I wonder about the people at the helm of all the societal changes happening as well. The ones who like to appear very cold and detached from it all, putting their ideals forward as a logical and reasonable conclusion they have reached after studying the data and having meetings to discuss the future. But to me, it all seems rather fanciful and from a place of desire and greed clearly, not logic at all. Making the data appear as they need it to, so they can vaguely try and hoodwink people into believing it's for their own good and the future depends on it. Almost as if they want it so bad the cracks are starting to show, and the feeling they may not get what they want starts to creep in. Driven very much by feelings then, it would seem, rather than just thought, and a sinister neediness that is indeed quite disturbing. And a certain future does depend on it. Theirs. The one where they really do own all the land, have all the resources, and just keep people huddled into their Universe 25s like the good little mice they see us as. So we can perform for them, be their test subjects, and follow the natural path given the correct conditions they want to set up. Although mostly, it is through brutish and bullying tactics they aim to achieve these things. As people are not going along with it as planned, it would seem, or are not as docile to the setup as maybe they thought. Feelings will always be there though, and to a point should be a driving force for our species. They can be useful and wonderful given the correct focus and stimuli. It should be noted, however, that everyone has them, mostly, and while you can indulge them in others if you so choose, it's good to know when to separate yourself from someone else's when they require too much of you, taking over and overshadowing yours, because in the end, destructive and controlling people want to be the dominant ones, whose feelings will always come before others, if they are even aware of anyone else's. So before you give your time, energy, focus, thoughts and feelings to something or someone, ask yourself what is motivating it or them. It might save you a bit of time and energy along the way.